For today's episode of Just Pick C, I have a goodie for you, at least if you're studying for the SAT, and it is the much requested new SAT vocabulary list. So this is about 750 words, and I compiled this by going through all of the released tests that have been released by the College Board. So the 6 full SATs, there's been 1 PSAT, and I've also gone through some other materials the College Board has released, basically compiling the most common challenging words that appear on those tests, both in the reading portion of the test, in the passage and the questions, and in the writing portion. So this will help, of course, not only with reading, but also with those diction, idiom questions on the writing as well. I also supplemented it with words from the old SAT reading. So back over the last, 15 years of old SATs, there have been common words that have appeared again and again. So I pulled out the most common words there, assuming that if they use them all the time on the old test, they'll probably be likely to use them on the new one as well. So that's all in this list. In the list, you'll see some instructions on how to use it, and I'll talk more about how to get the definitions in a second, because getting all the definitions on my own and putting them into a huge document, not super useful for you, and you really should get your own definitions anyway, because that's part of the learning process. So I'll talk more about that in a second. Here's the list. If there's any questions, let me know. If you want to get access to this list, click the link in the description below. You'll get the link to the page on my site. You can download the list, read some instructions, and some other good stuff. So if you have any questions or comments, or if you think anything should be added, let me know. So a few notes in terms of how to use the list. First, how to get definitions. So if you go to easydefine.com, this will let you copy and paste lists of words into the site, and it'll give you all the definitions. So what I recommend doing is just grab a column at a time, copy it, paste it into the site, hit generate, and you have all of your words and their definitions. And then, as I'll talk about in a second, you can then transfer these into whatever format you're going to use for studying. One other note on the list, there's some words that are in red and they're also bold and underlined. These are words that might have multiple definitions. So if you take the word address, for example, I can think of at least 3 definitions for address or address, depending on the context. So for these words especially, you want to be sensitive to shades of meaning, though in theory, many of these words could have multiple definitions. You just want to be careful with these words especially, to get the shades of meaning that might exist for those words. So in terms of how to use the list in terms of studying, on the page I'm going to go through a lot of details about how to structure your sessions, how often to do it, how many words to learn, and so on. A lot of it, though, is going to depend on the format you use to learn. So, of course, you can use note cards, so index cards, the normal, handwritten ones. If you're into that, you can do that. It'll take some time to write it all out, but I think in the process of writing it out, it actually helps you learn. So if you want to do that, you can. If you're looking for electronic options, of course, there's probably apps on your phones and Android and iPhone that you can probably enter these things into. If you're looking for desktop options, and they probably have apps as well, but if you're looking for websites that you can, with a better interface, you can enter in the information, enter in the word lists. You've got Quizlet, which you can enter in your lists and create shareable lists. Just be careful if you search for Reason Prep. Out of curiosity, let's search for Reason Prep. Yeah, so lists come up, but this is for the old SAT, so I would not use these because there's way too many words on these lists. It's for the old version. But eventually there might be, if enough of you put the list on the site, there might be some presets that you can download. But for now, you can set up your own sets. If you're looking for the really hardcore option, I recommend Anki. So Anki is a program that you can use Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, and it's a flashcard program, but the benefit of it is that it structures your study sessions in the most efficient way. So in other words, you're spending most of your time on the words you don't know, but at the same time, you're not totally ignoring the words that you do know. Because if you totally ignore the words that you do know, set those aside, as the days and weeks and months pass, that definition might actually fade a little bit. So you do want to return to it periodically. At the same time, you don't want to spend every day reviewing words you know. You want to space it out. So the whole point of Anki is it sets up a program for you, essentially, that will make your studying the most efficient it can be in terms of learning new words. And so there's a lot of information there. If you want to get into that, go for Anki. Otherwise, Quizlet, by hand. I'm sure there's other programs and apps and stuff out there. Anything like that is good. The key is just to be consistent with your studying. And I'll talk again more about study habits on the page. So if you want this list of words, and if you want more information, links, good stuff, click on the link in the description below. It'll take you to all the information you need. Let me know what you think about it, and I'll see you in the next episode. To learn more about Reason Prep's SAT, SAT subject test, and ACT video courses, go to reasonprep.com/enroll, and you can find the link in the description below the video.